Hey, Facebook. Steve Sansson, President of Veterans and Politics International. And, you know, nothing surprises me here in the state of Nevada. Absolutely nothing. I have spent close to 30 years in our judicial system here in Clark County since 1998. Court observing, actually ran a collection company. So I was in front of small claim court referees and justice of the peace, and got into politics and got to know a lot of the judges, district court, appellate court when it first started, Supreme Court. And nothing surprises me here. And, they say attorneys are supposed to be officers of the court, and justice is supposed to be equal. But let me tell you about an attorney that did some jury tampering. It was the case of Marshal Willick versus, or Hojak versus Marshal Willick. Marshal Willick is a family court attorney in town. He claims to be this know-it-all. He's always putting his nose in the judiciary, testifying in the Senate, state Senate, and testifying on the Assembly, trying to change laws and amend laws to fit his own personal greed. He conducts CLE classes for judges and other attorneys so that he could have some type of rapport with them, so he could continue to win all of his cases in court, especially in family court, so his pocketbooks could be filled. But on this case of Hojak versus Willick, Marshal Willick decided to do a little jury tampering by talking to one of the jurors. And he was talking to the juror in the elevator and boasting that he's a good guy and boasting how intelligent he is and boasting about how important he is and how much juice he has with judges. But you know what? Jury tampering is a serious, serious crime. In the state of Florida, this one lady did 6 months for jury tampering. And it's also a violation of our state laws and canons here in the state of Nevada. I mean, Rule 8.4, Rule 3.5, NRPC 3.3. I mean, it continues and continues that jury tampering is a crime. And this jury tampering was done under the judge in the Hojak versus Willick case was Judge Nancy Allf. Now, after this juror reported the jury tampering to the juror foreman reported it to the judge, to the bailiff, and Judge Allf said that there was a mistrial. So these jurors that was there, that took time away from their day-to-day activity, their work, got stuck in a mistrial, and the case was gone. And Judge Allf didn't do a damn thing to Marshal Willick. Didn't sanction him. Didn't report him to the state bar, which she has a duty to do, but she didn't do it. There is a complaint at the state bar that was dated February 10th. But as far as I know, the state bar hasn't done anything. The state bar is a joke, folks, to be quite honest with you. The state bar is a joke. So, Judge Allf declared a mistrial because of testimony that Marshal Willick did jury tampering. Didn't hold him accountable. Didn't sanction him. Nothing. Wasted the juror's time. And now, she's honoring Marshal Willick at a legal aid center luncheon for Southern Nevada for pro bono work. And if anybody that doesn't know what pro bono work means, it means that an attorney takes on a case free of charge, okay? And it's part of their continual learning. They're supposed to do so many pro bono work a year, requirements to maintain their license to practice law in the state. And they're honoring, and Judge Allf is sponsoring this honor of Marshal Willick for pro bono work. But let me tell you something about Marshal Willick. Now, Marshal Willick, this is what he likes to do. He tries to get these attorney's fees that is supposed to be free pro bono work. He tries to get these attorney's fees paid for by opposing parties. So is it really free? Or is it a joke? But they're honoring him as being this attorney that does the most pro bono work. Maybe they need to look into how many of those pro bono cases that he got paid on by getting the monies directed over to the opposing side to pay for his attorney's fees. You know what? I always thought that Judge Allf was a decent judge. But when she don't hold an attorney accountable for jury tampering and then declared a mistrial, that's a problem all by itself. Maybe a judicial discipline complaint should be filed against Judge Allf for not doing her duty. Now, I remember when I first heard about all of this, I called up Judge Allf, left a message. You know, they don't like picking up their phones. Left a message, and I asked her what she was going to do about Marshal Willick tampering with the jury in her courtroom. Crickets. I didn't hear anything back. But folks, doing these corruption, especially with a judiciary, is a full-time job because it's happening more and more. And it's being normalized. Nobody's being held accountable for what they did. And I can't understand for the life of me, Judge Allf, how are you going to hold an attorney who's supposed to be the CLE guru of continual learning education for attorneys and judges? So he's supposed to know better. How are you going to not hold him accountable for tampering with the jury in his own case? And then, after it's being reported to you, testimony by the jurors that he did in fact do this jury tampering, you declared a mistrial. And then You wasted these jurors' time and your time, the court's time, and taxpayers' time because we pay for you to be on the bench. And the marshals, and the JEA, and the legal clerks, and the law clerks. Taxpayers pay for all that. You declared a mistrial. You don't sanction Marshal Willick. You don't hold him accountable in any way, shape, or form. You don't publicly reprimand him. You do nothing. But instead, you're going to put on a reception, hosting a reception for the Legal Aid Center, honoring the same attorney that you had to declare a mistrial over because he did juror tampering. While people in the normal world, the everyday people, if they was to do jury tampering, you probably would have threw their ass in jail. You probably would have sanctioned them. You probably would have chastised them. Why is this person, Marshal Willick, allowed to break the law and get away with it? State Bar, there's a complaint with you right now about this very incident that I'm describing. What are you going to do about it? This is absolutely asinine. How that this judicial system don't hold everybody on the same level. And I want to know why that is. Why don't you hold people accountable? Whether you know them or you don't. Whether they're active or they're not. Whether they're worth millions or they don't worth a pot to piss in. The law supposed to be equal. And this is an attorney supposed to know better. He's supposed to even have more sanctions and more jail time because he's deliberately saying F you to the court and the court is taking it up the behind. Is that justice? And then, Judge Allf, you're going to honor him for doing pro bono work? And if you was to investigate into his pro bono work, you would see that a lot of his pro bono work is not really pro bono because he's billing the other side for it and the judges on the bench is giving it to him. This is absolutely ridiculous, you know? And this is not Marshal Willick's first go-around, okay? He's been inserting himself in different ways in the Falcone matter, claim to he's representing he's representing the other side when he's really not. But yet, Marshal Willick said he's not a public official. But yet he's doing all these publicity stunts with our judiciary and with our legislative branch. Judge Allf, you really want to recognize this man after you declared him to be someone that did jury tampering and you declared a mistrial in your courtroom, and now you're going to honor him for pro bono work? Bravo. Bravo. And these are the types of incidents that the public don't know. That's why I'm bringing it to the public's attention, to let the public know what's going on. And Judge Allf, last time I checked, I believe that you're a senior judge now. You need to take a really good look at yourself and your stance, because I had a lot of respect for you, Judge Allf. But this, not at all. Folks, I hope that you got something out of this. This is Steve Sansson, President of Veterans in Politics and Nevada Veterans Association, host of the Veterans in Politics Talk Show, President of VIPI Consultant, Inc., or LLC. And we really need to pay attention to the judiciary bench, folks. We really do. And we really need to pay attention to these attorneys that are trying to become judges. And I'm just bringing this out to you to educate you so you can understand what's going on. Because a lot of people say, hey, I've never heard about it. I never saw it. But it happens. And if I could go ahead and give you the information to help you make a better decision when you go to the voting booth, or who you hire to represent you in court, I've done my job. Thank you so much.